Defining the unthinkable, the Holocaust and genocide. The Holocaust. A word heavy with history, a word that whispers of unimaginable horrors, of lives torn apart. It refers to a specific period in human history, a systematic state-sponsored persecution and murder of 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime and its collaborators during World War II. But the Holocaust was not just about numbers, it was about the faces behind those numbers. It was about the destruction of families, the annihilation of cultures, the brutal silencing of an entire people, their voices forever lost. Genocide, a term coined in the aftermath of the Holocaust, encompasses the deliberate and systematic destruction of a group of people. This destruction can be physical through mass murder, but it can also be cultural, erasing the history, language, and traditions of a people, leaving a void that can never be filled. The Holocaust stands as a stark example of genocide, a chilling reminder of what happens when hatred is allowed to fester and grow unchecked. We must understand these terms, not as abstract concepts, but as harsh realities that have shaped our world. The Holocaust, with its meticulously planned machinery of death, serves as a warning, a grim testament to the depths of human cruelty and the consequences of unchecked power. But it also highlights the resilience of the human spirit, the unwavering hope that flickered even in the darkest of times, a hope that refused to be extinguished. To truly grasp the magnitude of the Holocaust, we must journey back in time to examine the seeds of hate that took root in pre-war Europe, seeds that would eventually blossom into unimaginable atrocities, leaving scars that still linger today. Only then can we begin to comprehend the depths of this tragedy and strive to prevent its recurrence, ensuring that such horrors are never repeated.
Seeds of hate, the roots and rise of the Holocaust. The seeds of the Holocaust were sown long before the Nazi Party rose to power in Germany, taking root in the fertile ground of historical anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism, prejudice and discrimination against Jews, had been a persistent presence in Europe for centuries, manifesting in various forms of social, economic, and political exclusion. Jews were often portrayed as outsiders, blamed for economic hardships, and accused of undermining societal values, creating a pervasive atmosphere of distrust and hostility. This deep-seated prejudice created fertile ground for the Nazis to exploit, allowing them to manipulate public sentiment with ease. The Nazi Party, led by Adolf Hitler, capitalized on these existing prejudices, weaving them into their ideology and using them as a tool for political gain. Hitler's twisted worldview cast the Jews as an existential threat to Germany, scapegoating them for the country's defeat in World War I and its subsequent economic woes, thus rallying support for his radical agenda. This propaganda, disseminated through speeches, rallies, and state-controlled media, systematically dehumanized Jews, portraying them as vermin, parasites, and enemies of the state, stripping them of their humanity. As the Nazi grip on Germany tightened, anti-Jewish legislation followed, further entrenching the systemic persecution. The Nuremberg Laws, enacted in 1935, stripped Jews of their citizenship, barring them from public life and professions, effectively isolating them from the rest of society. Synagogues were burned, Jewish businesses boycotted, and Jewish children expelled from schools, marking the beginning of a systematic campaign of terror. Step by step, the Nazis created a climate of fear and exclusion, paving the way for the horrors to come, as Jews were increasingly marginalized and dehumanized. Understanding these root causes is essential to grasp the full scope of the Holocaust. The Holocaust did not emerge in a vacuum. It was the result of a long history of anti-Semitism and prejudice. It was the culmination of centuries of intolerance, fueled by a toxic blend of nationalism, economic hardship, and a charismatic leader who exploited fear and resentment for his own twisted ends, leading to one of the darkest chapters in human history.
Camps of despair, life, and death inside the Nazi system. The Nazi regime established a vast network of camps throughout Europe, each serving a specific purpose within their machinery of persecution and extermination. These camps were strategically placed to facilitate the efficient execution of their heinous plans. Concentration camps, such as Dachau and Buchenwald, were designed to imprison and exploit enemies of the state, including political opponents, Jehovah's Witnesses, homosexuals, and Jews. These camps became centers of unimaginable suffering and cruelty. Conditions in these camps were brutal, marked by starvation, disease, and forced labor. Prisoners were subjected to inhumane treatment, living in constant fear and uncertainty.
Extermination camps, also known as death camps, were built for the sole purpose of mass murder. These camps were the final destination for many, where the end came swiftly and mercilessly. Auschwitz, Birkenau, Treblinka, Sobibor, these names have become synonymous with the horrors of the Holocaust. They are etched into history as sites of unimaginable atrocities. Upon arrival, prisoners were subjected to selection, a process that determined their immediate fate. This selection often meant life or death, with families torn apart in an instant. Those deemed unfit for work, mostly the elderly, the sick, and young children, were sent directly to gas chambers, murdered with Zyklon B, a poisonous gas. The efficiency of this process was chilling. Those who were selected for labor faced a different kind of horror. They were forced into grueling work under the harshest conditions. They endured back-breaking work in factories and fields, often working until they collapsed from exhaustion or starvation. The relentless labor was a slow death sentence. Medical experimentation, conducted with callous disregard for human life, added another layer of terror to the camps. These experiments were often fatal or left prisoners with lifelong injuries.
The camps were not just places of death, they were meticulously designed systems of dehumanization. Every aspect of camp life was intended to strip prisoners of their humanity. Prisoners were stripped of their names, their identities replaced with numbers tattooed on their arms. This was a deliberate attempt to erase their individuality. They were subjected to constant humiliation, deprived of basic necessities, and denied any semblance of human dignity. The psychological torment was as severe as the physical abuse. The camps stand as a chilling reminder of the consequences of unchecked hatred and the fragility of human civilization. They are stark symbols of the depths of human cruelty. They are places of profound sadness, but also spaces for reflection, urging us to confront the darkest chapters of human history and learn from the past. These memorials serve as a solemn reminder to never forget and to ensure such atrocities never happen again.
A world shattered. The Holocaust's impact on Jewish communities. The Holocaust inflicted an immeasurable toll on Jewish communities across Europe. 6 million Jews were murdered, wiping out entire families and leaving behind a void that could never be filled. Synagogues, once vibrant centers of Jewish life, were destroyed, their ruins a testament to the cultural annihilation that accompanied physical extermination. Beyond the staggering death toll, the Holocaust left deep scars on the social, cultural, and religious fabric of Jewish communities. Generations of wisdom and tradition were lost, as were countless irreplaceable artifacts and texts. The trauma of the Holocaust reverberated through families, impacting survivors and their descendants for generations to come. Many survivors emerged from the camps physically and emotionally scarred, haunted by the horrors they had witnessed. They faced the daunting task of rebuilding their lives in a world that had been irrevocably changed. The loss of loved ones, the destruction of their homes and communities, and the lingering trauma of their experiences left an enduring legacy of pain and displacement. The Holocaust was not just a Jewish tragedy, it was a human tragedy. The world watched in horror as the Nazis carried out their genocidal campaign, a stark reminder of the dangers of indifference and inaction. The impact of the Holocaust continues to shape our understanding of human rights, genocide prevention, and the importance of combating intolerance in all its forms.